Good evening and welcome to the home of the Preston Lions in Victoria. Genis Steele Stadium is the setting for this evening's final quarter-final of the 2026 Hahn Australia Cup. We're on the land of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of Kulin Nation for what promises to be an absolute classic. It is two of the great clubs of yesteryear looking to rescale the heights and show that they are as relevant and present in the modern game as ever. Two sides with big ambitions and looking to go all the way. South Melbourne have been twice before to the semi-finals of the Hahn Australia Cup, including 2 years ago. For Preston Macedonia, Preston Lions, as they are affectionately known, hailing from the North Macedonia diaspora of Melbourne. It is their first time at the national stages of the Hahn Australia Cup, and they are making quite the splash. It has been a season for the cup sets, 6 in all, the most ever in a single campaign of the Hahn Australia Cup, taking the tally to 28 A-League clubs that have been knocked out. And this evening, we will know which of Preston Lions FC and South Melbourne Football Club, 4-time NSL champions back in the 80s and 90s, who will be the fourth side into the semi-finals to take on Queensland NPL champions and recently crowned premiers of this season, Lions FC. Well, South Melbourne have had quite the busy year, quite the exceptional year as well, winning the inaugural Australian Championship. Their captain leading them out, Marko Jankovic, a classy central defender with some pedigree, of course. Dad played for Real Madrid, no less. And these two are big rivals. Over 1,500 travelling supporters for South Melbourne here this evening, making plenty of noise. These two clubs, traditional rivals, they don't like each other too much, and that will make it all the more competitive once the referee blows that whistle. Plenty of new faces in both sides this season as we have a look at how they line up. One of the new faces this year compared to last season is Zoran Markovski, the coach, who's made 5 changes from the side that drew 0-0 against Dandenong City in their penultimate match of the NPL Victoria regular season. Aidan Bryce, Stefan Nigro, Sian Cuba, Noel Bonada and Leighton Brooks all return to the starting lineup. Bonada is up against his former club, of course. Compared to the side that beat Juventus in the round of 16, just the one change, it's Zach Cianci who comes in for Gian Albano. While for South Melbourne, Sinisha Kahadzic has also rotated on the weekend. 7 changes from the side that went down 2-1 to last season's Australia Cup finalist Heidelberg, but only the one change from the side that prevailed in the last 16 against Fremantle on penalties. Ironically, it was the hero of that penalty shootout, goalkeeper Jake Charleston, that makes way for the veteran Spaniard Javi Lopez, who is back from injury between the posts for South. Our referee for this evening's clash is Tom Fell. He is being assisted by Matteo Brazzale and Cameron White. Sean Evans, plenty of experience between the two benches, is the fourth official. Jankovic has won the toss for South. Preston captain, the former Western United and Newcastle Jets goalkeeper Ryan Scott there. Well, there is Zoran Markovski himself, an NSL champion in back-to-back years alongside a certain Mark Viduka back in the mid-90s with the Melbourne Knights. And he also enjoyed fantastic success with Avondale last year. A few faces have moved across with him from Avondale, others taken from Heidelberg, as Preston have underlined their ambition by bringing in some big players. There is Sinisha Kahadzic, the coach of South Melbourne. Still there midway through this season. He was sacked very briefly and then immediately reinstated. He has done very well over the last couple of seasons with South, and looking to go one step further than they have ever gone in the Australia Cup and try and become the first NPL side to win the Australia Cup. There's certainly a feeling brewing that this could be the year. Lions FC, the Queensland side, look very good. Preston and South Melbourne, both quality sides as well on the other side of the draw. Sydney FC versus Melbourne Victory in the first semi-final, an unprecedented Big Blue, but we are assured of having one NPL side in the final. Now El Bonada, the Argentine forward, up against his former club. And it is Preston Lions that get us underway. The 2026 Hahn Australia Cup. We already know 3 of the 4 semi-finalists. Who will take on Lions FC between the Preston Lions and South Melbourne? 2 of the great names of Victorian football. Eric Partaloo, on paper at least. Certainly Preston Lions bringing in some fantastic form, undefeated in 3 months, 16 games in all competitions without defeat against a South side that beat them 3-0 the first time they met this season. And there's no love lost between these 2 sides.
Yeah, Robbie, great to have you back. It's a super time to be alive and kicking at this stage of the competition. These 2 massive clubs have paved quite the path to get to this point tonight. Unfortunately, one of their Australia Cup journeys ends here tonight. But Preston, they have just been unbreakable in the past few months on the field. And, you know, sometimes you get to the end of a season and you can start to see the wear and tear in teams. But with Preston, you just don't really see that. It's like they've got a new set of tyres and a full tank of gas to go even further. They believe they can not only win tonight, but go on and win the whole thing. South Melbourne, they've been increasing the volume ever so slightly as well. But I think when the Australia Cup is concerned, you just wonder, when is the year that South Melbourne are going to take a little chunk out of this competition? Semi-finalists twice before, like you said. But whenever there's noise being made in Australian football, you know that South Melbourne are not too far away from the conversation. So a massive game here tonight.
A little nod down for Buljuach. First time touch for you. Here is Aaron Cox. He knows a thing or 2 about scoring a spectacular goal as well. The cross, and it's tipped over onto the crossbar from Ryan Scott. And it will be Aidan Bryce, one of those new faces this season, who brings the ball away. Now, Tavir or Tevere, depending on which side of the divide you stand. There's that effort from distance as well from Leighton Brooks. He scored against South Melbourne in the league last year, the last time Preston beat South Melbourne.
Well, you can just see already we've got 2 quality teams on show. One end of the pitch going on to the crossbar, and at the other, a long distance shot almost going and creeping into that top corner. There's no surprise, really. These 2 sides have been absolutely killing it in the NPL Victoria. South Melbourne just gave up that little run of form that they were on the weekend, losing to Heidelberg late on. But you can just see the quality, and look out for that midfield battle tonight. That's where the game will be won and lost.
Yeah, since their 0-0 draw with Preston a few weeks ago, South Melbourne won 5 in a row before Christian Theoharis' last-minute winner for Heidelberg at the weekend. There have been no such slip-ups for Preston, who have been able to rotate players as well. Kubalay in the middle of the park with the ball back to his keeper, but Ryan Scott has skewed that out of play. Just 18 goals conceded in 25 NPL Victoria matches this season. They've also had to cope with 9 penalty point reduction as well in the league, and they still find themselves assured of finals football. If they had those 9 points, they would find themselves sitting second in the league, just behind the Oakley Cannons. As it is, they're level on points with South Melbourne. as David Yu looked to get that cross in and cause them some more problems. Seb Pasquale, one of several players with A-League experience. Retre getting it on to Yu. Taking on Stefan Nigro. Yu's cross near post. Bryce settling things down.
That's a really handy start, though, from South Melbourne, really pinning back the Preston Lions. That's exactly what you want to see from an away side coming here. We know the crowd gets right behind the Lions. You can see them jumping in the background there, but South Melbourne's also tweaked with their formation over the last couple of weeks. They were playing a 3-5-2 with Swibble and Juarch up front. Now it's just the lone striker of Bull Juarch. He's going to have a lot more room to operate through the middle tonight.
And he is such a hard runner, Bull Juarch. Such a selfless worker in front of goal as well. He scored in the last 2 cup rounds of the Australia Cup. He's got a couple of goals in the NPL as well, having scored over 30 goals for Heidelberg last season. He then got a move to Canada, Pacific FC, before returning to South Melbourne during the last winter transfer window. Bonada backing into his former teammate Jankovic. Aaron Cox, no way past Leighton Brooks, and here goes Tevere. Down the right-hand side, had a spell at Perth Glory, the former Avondale man, who's now reunited with Zoran Markovski, his coach there. Well defended. Preston hold on to the ball, though. Back with Felino. Here's Jamal Ali. Outstanding performer in this side. Leighton Brooks on for Tevere. The clearance is a poor one. Jamal Ali with a big air swing. That was quite a presentable opportunity for a player who knows where the back of the net is. And a bit of nervy defending from South Melbourne there.
Yeah, but just look how well Jamal Ali does to get into that position. That final moment, we saw him scoring in the last round, getting forward, trying to keep the South Melbourne fans quiet by scoring early, but getting forward is not his problem, Jamal Ali. He's got so many weapons in his bag. He's a great defender, he gets himself forward, and the team understands that they can utilise that right-hand side really well. So tonight, watch him getting forward, bombing on, getting on the end of things.
Here come South again with you. Good switch of play for Aaron Cox against Jamal Ali. Putting the right back on the back foot. It was on target, but it wasn't going to trouble Ryan Scott. Bonada, again, Jankovic keeping a very close watch on Noel Bonada as there's a free kick there, given away by Painter Andrews. The South right back, and Giannakopoulos there as well.
It's a good place to do it as well. Right in front of the home supporters. That will guarantee a little bit of attention for the next 45 minutes.
We might take the opportunity to head down to the sideline where Archie Thompson is with us this evening. Archie, how is it down there?
Evening, gentlemen. Yeah, the atmosphere is fantastic, and something that's really impressed me about these NPL sides, particularly here in Melbourne, is the intensity that both of these teams start with, and it doesn't seem to stop at all. It's that whole 90 minutes. I think when you go back to the South Melbourne game where they beat Adelaide United, they were just so dominant, and I think the middle of the park is somewhere where both of these teams are really strong. But what really excites me is both of these teams' attacks, especially out in these wide areas. I think Leighton Brooks, when he gets that ball and he's 1v1, he's an excitement machine. And then another player that's really impressed me is David Yu. I think he's signing, I think it was after the Australia Championships to South Melbourne, has just been fantastic. But it's the intensity and the level, and the football's quality as well, gentlemen.
Thank you, Archie. Yes, David Yu, who signed from South Island in the Oceania Pro League, which South Melbourne also took part in and did very well as well.
Yeah, it's been a strange old season though for South, hasn't it? It's either win or bust. They've won 13, but they've lost 10.
Yeah, it's been all or nothing. Here's Uchida looking for the all part of that equation. Uchida's ball in. It was towards Buljuach, who we know has a great eye for goal. Doesn't need too many chances.
Yeah, it was a little bit too close. The pass a little bit too short for Juach to get his leg around it. Probably looking for that far post option, and Buljuach trying to let it go. But this is great pressure from South Melbourne.
Painter Andrews down the right-hand side. His cross is blocked. Appeals for a handball. Well blocked by Stefan Nigro. One of several former Melbourne Victory men out there. Cross back in. Tevere clears. Here's Retre. His cross back in towards Buljuach. Foligno missed it. It'll be Cox that keeps it alive. South have had the better of the two meetings so far this season between these two. A 3-0 win here at Jenna Steele Stadium. As Ramazani tries to twist and turn his way through before a scoreless draw a few weeks ago back at Lakeside. Preston with the ball deep. Tevere. As Ryan Scott goes long towards Leighton Brooks, another of the former Victory players. Tevere following up. He's done well. Ramazani sticks out a leg. Clean tackle. Pasquale. Jankovic with the ball forward towards David Yu. A Korean-born New Zealander, David Yu, 26 years of age, who also spent time in Portugal before returning to Auckland City. Played in that famous 1-1 draw with Boca Juniors in the Club World Cup a couple of years back. A 1-1 draw against the Argentine Giants. Jankovic again with Giannakopoulos. He's been invited to run. It opened up ahead of him. Buljuach being closely watched by Hayden Bryce. Oh, was that ball inviting Buljuach? He will run all day, Buljuach. So you can't afford any lapses in concentration at the back. Sian Cuba with Leighton Brooks again. Brooks comes inside. Retre and shoots. Unable to test Javier Lopez.
Yeah, it's really nifty work from Brooks. We know he can get forward. We know he can get those crosses in when it matters most. We've seen it already in this Australia Cup edition. And he's a man to watch on that side. But South Melbourne are putting a lot of pressure on every single time the Preston Lions have the ball. It's been really, really physical to start this game in terms of their intensity. Like Archie's saying on the sideline, it is actually quite impressive in the wide areas. And a lot of chances are created. Just that timing now for Buljuach inside the box.
Well, both sides rested players. We know that these two sides, I mean, there's the glory of the cup. It's a nice first touch from Painter Andrews. Back towards David Yu. Well, he has been the most lively player for South Melbourne so far in an attacking sense, David Yu. They crave success on the national stage, these two sides. Here's Yu again. Little ball for Juach. It's well played. Tried to turn inside. Couldn't get the better of Foligno. Ramazani dealt with that well. Here's Pasquale. Yu again for Painter Andrews. Time and space. If he wanted to measure across, he looks back. Yu again. There might be a shot on here. Hit with power, but it's a statement of intent from David Yu so far this opening 13 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant from South Melbourne. Great intensity, taking the right options, getting forward, getting good looks at goal. Preston still hell-bent on playing out from the back. And they're not getting themselves forward quick enough, and South just seem to have an extra man out there at the moment.
Pasquale with Uchida. He's got an Australian Cup goal to his name already this season. So does Aaron Cox, who scored against Fremantle and in the penalty shootout. The cross in towards Buljuach. Aiden Bryce's header. Thrusting up a leg. It might have been close to dangerous play if he tried the full bicycle kick.
Well, I'll tell you what, Preston, they might have to rethink their strategy with David Yu. Every single time the ball goes to South Melbourne, it ends up at the feet of David Yu, and he's facing towards goal. So the danger signs are there. The warning sign is there.
San Cuba just losing a shoe there in that challenge by Hassan Ramazani. He's currently on loan from Vanuatu United. Hassan Ramazani, former Brisbane Roar player with 8 minutes of A-League experience. They came against Melbourne City back in 2021. Long ball, Jankovic underneath it. Cuba trying to make a nuisance of himself, and now Tevere. Fouled by Jankovic. Who claims that there was a foul a little earlier in that passage of play, perhaps.
What I love about watching Luca Tevere play in this Preston line side, Robbie, is yes, he's a ball player. Yes, he's a carrier, but he works so hard to get himself on the ball. And he works so hard to get away from his marker to get on the ball. Because when you're that player that everyone wants to have attention and try and stop you from playing, he still asks for the ball. He still wants to go and look for it.
Free kick, comfortable enough. Oh, I was going to say comfortable for Javi Lopez, who spilt it momentarily. Back from injury that's kept him out for nearly half the NPL season on and off. Javier Lopez, the former Oviedo and Real Zaragoza youth player. Arrived, must be 5 years ago now in Australia with Altona Magic. Then a spell at Bentley Greens before South Melbourne. It's a nice turn from Kubale. Here's Buljuach. Hayden Bryce keeping very close watch on Buljuach at the moment. Here's Tevere. Wide on the left. No way through for Zach Chanchi that time. Got the nod ahead of Gian Albano this evening, Chanchi. For Cox. South Melbourne with nearly 60% possession in the opening 17 minutes. Jankovic. Good ball forward. Start one. La Liga with Real Madrid. Also played for Red Star Belgrade and Anderlecht. Fantastic European career before moving to Cairns. The ball in for Buljuach. And now the break might be on for Bernarda. He got a foot on that, but Cuba is marshalled out of that one by Jankovic. Switch of play is not a bad one though. Chanchi looking to help it on for Bernarda first time. Well played, Rattray. No way through for Uchida. Archie Thompson talked about the intensity. There's plenty out there in the challenges one-on-one. It's a great turn from Leighton Brooks. Now Bernarda looking to hurt his former club. Chanchi goes over under the challenge of Painter Andrews. Right down there in front of the travelling South Melbourne support.
Yeah, it's really well worked that from Preston Lions. They don't have a lot of time to get that ball forward because South Melbourne's shape tonight has been really impressive. They got behind the ball, They've gone and closed Luca Tevere down every single time he's got the ball, but he's still finding those gaps, running through the middle if Bernarda's not there. But it's in these moments, the front three can't seem to get to grips with South trying to play out what they have now. They've got to be a little bit more connected, I think, the front three.
Retre finding space for you. Oh, Buljuach is quick, but he's not that quick. Tevere back with Foligno. Plenty of discussion of how to say Luca Tevere's surname. He's often referred to as Tevere, the Australianisation, the Jurassic rule, if you like, of pronunciation. But I did ask him last year when he was at Avondale, and he said it's Tevere in Italian. That's what his parents would say, but a lot of people do call him Tevere.
What about the river?
And it is, of course, the Tiber River in Italian is Tevere that runs through Rome. So if I don't think they're about to call it Tevere, the Tevere River in Rome.
I knew you wanted that one, Robbie. Well, we'll go with that then.
Well, you could go with Tevere and I'll go Tevere. It'd be like Preston have an extra player. They could use it at the moment because they're struggling a little bit. Even if South haven't really carved out a clear-cut opportunity as of yet. David Yu has had a couple of shots from distance. Here he is again, the number 7 on the charge.
They're just finding a lot of space. And yeah, it's about the intensity, but after about this point in the game, generally, it starts to slow down. Then we'll see a little bit more of that pattern from Preston Lions getting themselves forward. But South Melbourne right now, it's about getting the ball wide and going forward a little bit quicker to create that chance. Buljuach through the middle is there. Can they find him?
It's a ball for Uchida, who they might have just forgotten about for a moment. Here is Juach. Got there ahead of Aiden Bryce. Went down too easily. The home fans and the home defenders not appreciating that one much. And Bonada and Jankovic, a bit of a smile afterwards between the two teammates.
Yeah, well, that was a bit naughty there. There's a little bit of contact, and you just never know in the modern game.
No VAR this evening. The hands from Hayden Bryce, but you see there really not enough to knock over the player. Jamal Ali back with Tevere. Bryce again. Good challenge, Ramazani. Uchida immediately for Yu, finding space in the pockets. Uchida and Jach joining him in attack. Here is Aaron Cox. Oh, he invited the challenge of Ali. Skip past him. Look at the space here for Yu. Curls it and punched away by Ryan Scott. Well, that is the first opportunity of the match, and it came the way of South Melbourne, who have made a very positive start here.
I thought maybe he held on to that one just a little bit too long on the edge of the box. Great work from Cox to get away from Ali. And right there, David Yu, the man who's been on fire to start this game. It was dipping, it was moving, but Ryan Scott right behind it. How many warning signs do they need from David Yu?
Six shots to 2 already for South Melbourne, and I would say 4 of them have come from the boots of David Yu. Peter Andrews, he's done well, charging forward, the little cutback for Juach. And again he goes down, and the Preston defenders, their protests even more vehement this time.
Well, I think if you're Aiden Bryce, you have every right to maybe go and ask the question, what is Buljuach doing? Will he give him a card? there wasn't enough contact, and it's just the way that he went down. It's very theatrical, but again, was there contact? I don't think Buljuach would have gone down without. The referees kept his yellow card in his book, so it wasn't enough to get carded.
I think the yellow card came out. We'll have to wait for confirmation. As Ryan Scott rolls it out with Dominic Foligno. Little ball into the feet of Tevere. Ali. The yellow card came out, but it was only a threat by the sounds of things. Not a sanction. Now Cuba. The pass for Tevere is beyond him, though. Ramazani collects from Aaron Cox. And now gives it back. Big switch of play. At the moment, it looks as though nearly every single pass is directed towards David Yu for South Melbourne. A forward pass, that is.
Well, I think that's been the difference as well, Robbie, in terms of the front line holding things up, as we see another challenge in the middle of the park. But you've got guys like Uchida and Yu, when they get the ball, they're holding it up and allowing South Melbourne to get forward. Not seeing that from Chanchi or Brooks, getting those sorts of opportunities and allowing Preston Lions to get up the field.
Jankovic getting a stern talking to. Again, it was Bonada who was his victim of choice.
That's a big game of cat and mouse going on there.
Tevere for Bernardo again. There you go, trying to use that back to goal, be an anchor. But his pass is picked off. Uchida now against Kubale, trying to put the brakes on him. Uchida turning one way, then the other. The former Northcote and Dandong Thunder man, Yuki Uchida. Scored in the cup against Adelaide earlier this season. Ramazani. In the end, just didn't have too many ideas, but Foligno happy enough to send that into touch. They haven't conceded a goal in their last 3 matches in the MPL Preston. They are definitely one of the form sides, if not the form side in the Victorian Premier League. 16 matches, 3 months without defeat as Uchida left it. Might have been a second foul, but there was no advantage.
Well, case in point, having David Yuki Uchida just so good on the ball, and also knowing when to have the ball in front of the other player and just take contact and make sure that their team gets something out of the situation rather than losing the ball and going back on the counter-attack. So their ball retention has just been 20–30% better than the Preston Lions so far.
Paulo Retre, a former Melbourne City, Sydney FC and Wellington Phoenix man. Standing over this one. Crosses towards Jankovic, and it's Aiden Bryce with the header away. Jankovic does well to win it back, though. Yu, a little touch with Giannakopoulos. Yu again for Buljuach, the back heel. Nicely worked by South. Painter Andrews back into the danger zone. Cuba, with the help of Jamal Ali, managed to get it clear. Tevere, nice first touch. In the end, played just 9 matches for Perth Glory. Luca Tevere, a couple of assists in the second half of the A-League season. Had an outstanding campaign last year with Avondale. Looking for Bonada, who's got the right side of Paulo Retre and has a corner for Preston.
Well, there's a situation where he does well to stay on his feet. But if you can see the replay, there's a lot of contact, and a lot of other players would have gone down in that situation. You watch him here, just there. Okay, bravo, Bernardo, for staying on his feet. But if that's Buljuach in the other end.
Here comes the corner in towards Buljuach, who couldn't get a head on it. He was beaten in the air by Jamal Ali. Hayden Bryce was at the back post. For the moment, Preston Lions, their best route to goal has been a couple of corners to try and create something. Otherwise, South Melbourne have looked the more dangerous so far. Giannakopoulos up the line. Hayden Bryce deals with that. Bernardo, Chanchi, cross in, and they're going to have another set piece here. Preston Lions.
Yeah, the last couple of minutes from Bernard has been really, really good. He's been coming short to get the ball. He's been finding little pockets of space, and he's been getting away from the central defenders. I think he was getting maybe involved in those tussles a little bit too much and taking his focus away from going and getting the ball and helping his side out.
Driven in hard, players dropping in the box. It was Leighton Brooks who went down. And Stefan Negro with Foligno. Bryce with Ali, who shoots! And Javi Lopez tips it over. It was goal bound. And they just got their marking a little bit loose there. South Melbourne, it all opened up for Jamal Ali.
Well, I'm not sure the pass was intended for Jamal Ali, but we've already talked about him getting in these positions and being dangerous. And Javi didn't get a really good piece of that, but it was enough to get over the crossbar. But Ali, he's dangerous. They've got to keep an eye on him, South Melbourne.
Double-figure goals last season with Heidelberg. Jamal Ali. Cuba floating the ball back post, the header back into the danger zone from Bryce. Now you. He's done that well. Fouled by Kubale, but play able to continue. Uchida. The overlapping run, a lung buster from Sebastian Pasquale, and the pass never came. Here's you again. Started the move. Painter Andrews with Aaron Cox down to the byline. It's a good cross towards Buljuach. And now Uchida. South Melbourne back on the front foot after defending a series of corners. Uchida's shot was blocked.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what they've got to do to find Juach in the box, but in the air becomes pretty difficult when you're dealing with Foligno and Hayden Bryce. It's got to be a really good ball in. It's got to be whipped in. It can't be clipped, because those two central defenders are going to have everything for breakfast in there. But again, it's coming through those danger man Uchida and you, and the movement from South Melbourne at the moment has been really, really nice to watch.
Here they come again. Oh, Aaron Cox is causing Jamal Ali a few problems defensively. Cox still going. Cleared by Foligno. Pasquale takes over. Aaron Cox again, back with Ramazani. And a little misunderstanding in the end, but they'll have a chance to keep the pressure on here, South Melbourne, and they do look to put the press on.
I think Aaron Cox has to be a bit more clinical in that final third. He's got the measure of Jamal Ali and getting forward. It's not easy to get past him, and he's done it on 2 occasions now. It's that final pass. Maybe he has to go by himself rather looking for that extra pass into Buljuach if he can do it himself.
It's a good challenge by Uchida. Here's you. Excellent defending Foligno, who read that situation perfectly.
That's top level. Great defending.
Cox He's done the first part well again. The cross in towards Juach. Again, it's Foligno who heads away. Now Chanchi. The chance for Preston to try and break. He's done well. Chanchi's still going. Gets away from Cox. Here's Sian Cuba. Preston looking to sting South Melbourne on the counter-attack. Cuba still, the cross in. Bernarda was setting himself in the middle. Kubalay with Leighton Brooks now. His cross, back post, only Bernarda to aim for in the middle. It was always going to be tough.
It's just fascinating to watch, though, the way that the two teams are attacking. Preston want to go forward quickly and catch South Melbourne off guard, and they have done. Just haven't been able to punish South Melbourne for being out of position. There's these long build-ups and tempered possession from South that they think are going to get them their best chances.
They're two sides full of confidence, sure of what they are producing on the pitch. No bad blood between Bernarda and Retre there, as referee wants to have a word anyway to Paulo Retre. Cuba. Well, that's a good ball in behind for Brooks. Fantastic challenge, Ramazani. Brilliant piece of defending.
Well, Ramazani, he was onto it like a flash. And there's another flash point. It's starting to heat up now because Ramazani, I think, got a little piece at the end of this tackle here.
That's Yankovic who's been pushed over while we're watching the replay. Now, the yellow card is out. Hayden Bryce is in there still. Leighton Brooks is down. Yankovic slowly getting back to his feet. Hayden Bryce with plenty of words. Now, was he the one coming to get involved?
Yeah, and in amongst all of that, Leighton Brooks is still down requiring treatment. It's taken too long to get onto him. He's obviously in pain.
Now it's Kubalay, by the looks of things, who is going to get the first yellow card of this contest. So far it's been heated, it's been intense, and it's been all above board so far. We certainly want it to be competitive, for it to be tough. Brooks still holding that ankle.
Well, here's what happens in the lead up to that. Yankovic goes down a little bit too easily, and then everybody came in and tried to tell the referee what he had done. Kubalay, he was trying to bury his head in the sand after that, and a few other players came in. But Leighton Brooks, he had an absolutely amazing chance to score there. Just took a little bit too long, and I think he might be in trouble here.
He is really struggling. He's still down. He tried to get back to his feet and was visibly limping badly. The South Melbourne fans.
That doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good for Leighton Brooks at all. Not getting much compassion from the blue and white fans behind the goal there.
Zero.
Well, that is bad. Right on the eve of the pointy end of the season, there's finals football. He's been one of the star performers this season as well. Leighton Brooks scored against Brunswick Juventus in the cup. Also got goals in the A-League for Melbourne Victory, 3 of them in 31 appearances. Had a little spell with Cavalry FC in Canada as well before returning to Australia with Preston last year.
Also put the cross in for Lazarevsky, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, absolutely.
For that famous winning goal that knocked the Jets out.
Lazarevsky, another who's on the bench, waiting in the wings for possible introduction. Aaron Cox. That's a good ball over the top from Ramazani for Uchida. Outside of the boot cross. Fellini again immaculately positioned. Now Sian Cuba looks as though he's moved to right midfield to try and at least look after the defensive responsibilities. Retre pouncing on the loose pass. Pasquale feints right, comes back left with Uchida. His cross, shot perhaps in the end.
Yeah, never easy when you're down to 10 men. I'm not sure the quick release there from the keeper as well helps the cause, and it's a great little touch.
Brilliant from Cuba. Getting the better of Ramazani. It looks like that change is coming now. Gian Albano is preparing to come on for Preston Lions. Let's hope it's nothing any more serious than that for Leighton Brooks. For the moment, Preston down to 10. South Melbourne won't want the ball to go out of play while they have that extra player advantage. Pasquale. Retre. With Aaron Cox again. Down to the byline, drives it in hard. Again, it's Fellino who clears. Now you can hear the calls saying, just kick it out to Jamal Ali.
Yeah.
You can hear the bench telling him to kick it out, but the players don't want to do that, I guess. It's against your reflexes. Perhaps they think the calls are coming from the stand, the supporters, instead of the bench. Here's Negro on the charge. Bonada for Stefan Negro, gets it back again. Hayden Bryce now, the former Melbourne Knight, and before that, Edgeworth Eagle. Hailing from Newcastle. Jamal Ali turns inside Cox. The return ball, will he get there? He does, Jamal Ali. The challenge by Retre, who's not happy with the ease with which Preston managed to play their way forward there. Now that substitution does come, so Gian Albano, who knows what it takes to score against South Melbourne, as there you see that right angle just get caught under the body of Ramazani as he came sliding in.
That's really unfortunate. I think he's got to go for that, Ramazani, and just got a big piece of Brooks on the way through. But it's funny when you're down to 10 men. They're asking to kick the ball out, and now they get themselves in a dangerous position here in the corner.
Cuba against Uchida. Cuba's ball back post. There's space. The effort first time from Albano. And Cuba again. Stolen away by David Yu. Well, what an introduction that would have been from Gian Albano. Looked like it was goal bound.
They've been deadly from the set pieces, and that little block at the far post really helped as well.
Tevere now with Cuba. His delivery dangerous. Ramazani's clearance only as far as Tevere. Retre, good challenge. Uchida. Luca Tevere penalised. Referee could have allowed the advantage.
Well, I'm sure David, you wanted him to keep playing there, but you could hear a big piece of the boot smashing into the other one. But again, that's Luca Tevere, or Tavia, getting back. It's not just about him on the ball, it's what he does for the team, and he's very compatible for what Preston Lions have done this campaign. But you've got to fit into a side. You just can't come and be a playmaker and get on the ball and make nice passes. You've got to go and work, and you've got to bring that other dimension that's required as a midfielder, and he's all action.
You can see both sides so comfortable when they look to attack as well. They look with real potential to get forward every time. Giannakopoulos' header was a little bit loose, but so is that touch from Albano. Scored a penalty here last season against South Melbourne to open the scoring, as that shot is almost deflected into the path of Uchida. That's a poor touch though. The shot, oh, just wide. It was Chanchi who gave the ball away dangerously. And South Melbourne very, very close to the opening goal, as close as we've come.
Set up nicely for him. Aaron Cox, he's been lively as well. It's been really, really fascinating the last couple of weeks how he's come to life for South Melbourne. And they look so dangerous from the left-hand side, from the right-hand side, coming inside the box. They're getting good looks at goal.
And here's Cox again. Pasquale for Uchida. They're in behind Jamal Ali again. The cut back. And it's Stefan Nigro this time. Chanchi, who's switched flanks with the exit of Leighton Brooks to allow Jan Albano to head across to the left-hand side. Kahadzic thought the throw should have been going his way. 2 minutes of stoppage time announced by the fourth official, Sean Evans. This is the third meeting between the two sides this season. South Melbourne winning the first 3-0, the second a scoreless draw. They could well meet again in the finals to come. Well defended, Foligno. Now Tevere's gone down under the challenge. Referee allows play to continue. Here's Retre. Pasquale. Uchida able to turn and face forward. Ali closed him down just in the nick of time. Cox.
I think they know that they're under the pump a little bit, Preston Lions, and you've got to give them credit for the way that they've defended. They've defended their box well, they defended crosses well, they've gone and got the second ball when it's come out on the edge of the box. They're hanging in there, and I think that's what, you know, at half-time, Zoran Markovski's probably going to be saying to the players, that you've got to keep working for it, you've got to keep fighting. This is a quarter-final of the Australia Cup. It's going to be tough.
Well, they've conceded first in their two previous Australia Cup matches this season as well. They were 2-0 down against Newcastle, 1-0 down against Brunswick Juventus. They came back to win both matches, and it's been not exactly a slow start this evening, but South Melbourne have had the better chances. 12 shots to 7. Yu takes it short with Juach. David Yu again against Kubalay. Yu shoots straight into the breadbasket of Ryan Scott. And that might just be the last action of the first half. There goes the whistle from referee Tom Fell. An absorbing, intense first half of football between these two great giant sides of Victorian football and Australian football. Before that, David Yu was one of the star performers for South Melbourne. They had the better chances in the end. But this Preston Lions side boasts the best defence in the state, and they're showing why again this evening. Half-time in the final quarter-final of the Hahn Australia Cup. Preston Lions 0, South Melbourne 0.
What are you doing?
We're planking.
It's because of our internet providers.
We're stuck in 2011.
Same slow internet speeds.
And high prices.
It's like a nightmare.
Enough planking. Superloop is a network purpose-built for the super-fast future of the internet. You are free.
Don't take it lying down, Australia. Refresh your internet.
in Reservoir down in Melbourne. The quarterfinal of the Hahn Australia Cup. Preston Lions versus South Melbourne, these two old rivals. Formerly back in the NSL in the pre-A-League days, and since then in the state competitions of Victoria. And last year, both were involved in the inaugural championship. And here they are now, continuing to ride that wave of renewed ambition and opportunity, it must be said, to catch the national limelight. Preston Lions won the Doherty Cup, the Victorian Football Cup, just a couple of weeks ago. 3-1 winners over Heidelberg. Chanchi, Zini and Tevere, the goal scorers, ending a 19-year trophy drought from the NPL title in 2007. 44 years after they won it before. They are hoping that that is not the only trophy they lift this year. For South Melbourne, it has been an outstanding 12 months for the club that was taken to the title in the old NSL days by a certain Ange Postecoglou. And now they're looking to get back to the forefront of the national game as well. They had the better of the first half, and in Yuki Uchida, Eric Partaloo, they almost made the perfect start to the second half.
Yeah, it does not look like the Preston Lions have made an adjustment from that first half, already conceding a corner. We can put that down to South Melbourne as well, being very intense and just going at the Lions, looking for that first goal.
Set piece for South Melbourne, the corner. Again, it's taken short with Juach coming for David Yu. His cross near post, headed away by the Preston defence. Dominic Foligno has been outstanding at the back alongside Aidan Bryce. Ramazani, the all-action central defender for South Melbourne, alongside Marko Jankovic. Paolo Rattray coming deep, looking for the ball. Here is Jankovic again. South Melbourne enjoyed 60% possession in the first half and had twice as many shots at goal as their opponents. 4 on target to just 2. Pasquale's ball in behind for Painter Andrews. He gets there, the cross back towards Yu. Well, he has been the most dangerous player for South Melbourne in the first half, and he nearly got his head on that.
Yeah, the fullbacks for Preston Lions having a real torrid time at the moment, not sure where to go because the movement is so good off the ball from South Melbourne, and that's a wicked ball in again for you. You could have had a couple already.
And again, the corner is taken short. Hughes past that time, a little slack, but Ramazani takes over. And a bit of a defender's shot in the end there from Hassan Ramazani. Didn't look confident as it opened up for him. Zach Chanchi back to Aidan Bryce, and you can hear those South Melbourne fans there. That's a great first-time pass, though, for Chanchi. He's got Cuba in the middle. Albano at the back post. Chanchi's still going. Squares it. Cuba. He takes a touch. Shoots and scores! Geneseo Stadium erupts. Just 3 minutes into the second half, and the home side on the counter-attack have a precious cup goal.
Well, that's exactly what you want to see. The home crowds being reignited at Geneseo Stadium. It's a beautiful run forward. The South Melbourne defenders were caught off guard, and just there with Cuba, you thought he'd lost it. There was an option to play Albano at the far post. He looked once, but he didn't think twice about having a strike from the edge of the box. Cuba with an absolute cannon to get the party started, and they take the lead against the run of play.
Well, the noise inside the stadium had almost lifted the roof off. You see it there, absolutely packed. And the majority of the fans delighted with that opening goal. Now the streamers have to get off the pitch before we can get back underway. And the kid throwing them back into the crowd, ready for hopefully a second goal for them.
We've seen it all at Geneseo Stadium, and let's just watch this goal again, because it was a perfect move on that counter attack from Chanchi, dribbling the ball forward, getting forward, and then realising inside the box, yes, now is the time to be composed. And he found his teammate in Gian Cuba, who was so composed in front of goal.
Equal top scorer in NPL for Preston this season, Cian Cuba. That is a massive goal, and one that could go into the history books of Preston Lions. He has really put the cat amongst the pigeons here as well, because South Melbourne have no choice now. They're chasing the game. Cup football, knockout football, there has to be a winner. If South Melbourne can equalise, we have the prospect of extra time. We've had plenty of that in this 2026 Hahn Australia Cup. So tight and competitive have been the matches.
You don't go 14 or 15 games unbeaten without being resolute. And the Lions might have been under the pump that first half, but they held in there. They waited for that moment. Now, how do they navigate this 1-0 lead? They cannot allow South Melbourne to just keep coming, to keep creating, but they've got to frustrate their opponent a little bit more. They've got to get a little bit closer in these battles here.
Here's Uchida. South Melbourne also have to find a little bit more, don't they? They need a couple of clear-cut chances. Painter Andrews, ball back to you. It opened up on the left foot. Preston can't get it clear. Finally they do through Stefan Negro. And again, it's just that little moment that's missing so far for South Melbourne to take all the points here to get that goal they so desperately need. Negro again with Albano. Well, they fired up the PA.
Yes. That's what you want.
Free kick goes Preston Lions' way.
He's been working hard in there. Paulo Retre, the general for South Melbourne. He's going to have to give a little bit more, if that's possible.
The Preston song, the hymn, ringing out around the ground. Here's Jankovic. South Melbourne have to overcome the hostile atmosphere as well now. We saw a couple of flare points in the first half on the pitch. You can see how much both these two sides are desperate to make the semi-finals. It's the first time Preston have ever made the national rounds of the Australia Cup.
That's brilliant. That's what the game needed, actually, for Preston to score, to add a little bit more spice, because they were quiet in that first half. We were wondering, had South Melbourne done enough to not allow this crowd into the game? Once they're in the game, it's even harder for the away side right now.
Painter Andrews helping out Paulo Retre. Under pressure. Now Uchida. That ball gets away from him. Jamal Ali. So dangerous, ball at feet. Here he is on the charge again. It was his pass that released Chanchi. He's done so again. Continues his run into the area. The cutback. Look at the space for Tevere to measure the cross. Jankovic, good defensive header. Now Buljuach. Good turn. and free kick. He's done that well, Juach.
Yeah, really smart football from all sets of players. Juach winning that foul for Cianci, laying that ball back to be crossed in, and the positioning at the back of Jankovic just to be in the right spot at the right time, to clear danger, to make sure he keeps his side in it.
Retre with Giannakopoulos. Turns inside Albano. Little pass for you is a good one. Goes straight past Bryce. The cutback. Foligno again in the right place at the right time.
He's been absolutely outstanding. Foligno, his positioning. Watch him here. He had a little look over his shoulder to see where Bull Juach was, and then realised his job's inside the 6-yard box as well. And you, another entry into the penalty area.
Ball in first time this time, not a short corner. Retre with you. Pasquale just stopped for a second, still manages to get the cross in towards Jankovic. It's off Foligno last. Only 23 years of age, Dominic Foligno. Playing with fantastic maturity and awareness in that penalty box.
Yeah, he's a magnet at the moment.
You. Again, he heads direct with the corner into the danger zone. Oh, and Giannakopoulos just lost sight of the ball. Ryan Scott will be happy to have seen that go out of play, but it's going to be another corner.
There's a lot of pressure on right now because the delivery has been on point, getting right on top of the goalkeeper. That's the key for South Melbourne. Can the delivery be as good again from you?
Came off Jamal Ali last. Here it comes again into that near post area. It was again fantastic delivery. Now Pasquale hooks it back. Gian Albano taking his time. Under pressure from Jankovic. That's dangerous. Back towards the center of the pitch. Painter Andrews hits it. And it slices off the outside of the boot. Let's head down to Archie Thompson on the sidelines for us. Archie.
Well, gentlemen, you can't take a breath here. It's just end-to-end stuff. The atmosphere has just lifted after that goal and the intensity from South Melbourne. But at the moment, the gaps are just starting to open up for Preston when they do go forward. It was the first time that they actually got the ball in behind where there wasn't a South Melbourne player right up the backside of one of these attacking Preston players. And what do they get? They get a goal out of it, and it was a beautiful finish from Cuba. But I tell you what, the atmosphere in this stadium is just incredible, especially over in the right corner where the Preston fans are. But there's plenty of goals, I'm sure, in this one left.
Fantastic, Archie. It just takes one little mistake at this level to prove costly.
Well, he was a man that loved a counter-attack, wasn't he? Archie Thompson. He would have loved that goal from Preston.
Now they have a set piece. And set piece in the first half was one of their best routes to goal. Luca Tevere standing over this one. Javi Lopez waiting in the 6-yard box. Tevere, oh, it's deep to the back post towards Bryce. Jankovic with the header away. Bull Juach loses out to Cianci. He's done well, the youngster. Now the cross back in. Jankovic is there again. Kubale with Bryce. Cianci again. Cross near post. Jamal Ali was there. That was a big chance for Preston. A second goal, and South Melbourne would find themselves in all sorts of trouble. Ramazani just sees it out of play. Yes. Preston, they can feel that they have a little taste for it, can't you?
Yeah, I think Zachary Cianci has just been exceptional. Just been getting the ball out of his feet quickly and getting the ball into the danger area quickly. They're not having to wait there. And that opportunity there for Bernarda, he should have been on his toes there. That was a great ball in. It just popped up right in front of him.
Confirmation of that yellow card for Giannakopoulos. Painter Andrews has done well in behind Negro. Cuba coming across to try and cut him down. It's a good cutback. Paolo Retre just apologises for taking his foot off the gas a little bit. Kubale is there to clear. Giannakopoulos with Pasquale. Can hear the Preston bench screaming for the defenders to step up, to close down. Cox has done well, again getting the better of Jamal Ali. His cross. Yu gets there, it's well played. Still Yu shoots, blocked somehow. The follow-up, Painter Andrews! And South the level. An hour played. And it's South Melbourne and their travelling support, their turn to erupt. There's still plenty more to come in this Cup quarter-final, make no mistake.
Well, you can't say they didn't deserve that. They've been peppering the Preston Lions box. And eventually, the pressure paid off. It was a lovely little ball there. And again, Yu gets his opportunity, but the reflection and deflection coming out to Jack Painter Andrews, who just kept himself alive, just in case something like this broke to him. It's not the cleanest of strikes, but it was right on target. Yu at the heart of it, yet again for South. But Jake Painter Andrews paints this game blue and white, and we're all square.
The first Cup goal of the season for the number 27. To go with his one goal in the NPL League season so far. South Melbourne back on level terms. And these two best of enemies, we knew it was going to be tight. A goal apiece. And more tension to come in the last half hour.
But sometimes it doesn't work out like that, does it, Robbie, where you get so many chances and it's not your night and you don't get your goal, and all of a sudden the team who hasn't had possession goes on the counter-attack and gets their goal. It didn't seem like it had that final finishing product, and in the end, it was a deflection that came out to Jack Painter Andrews. But the pressure on the edge of the box, that was telling. They need to continue that and put the Lions under more pressure.
No surprise that David Yu was again involved as well in the lead-up play. Painter Andrews, long throw. Pasquale can't get there, Paolo Retre does. This is where experience can be crucial as well when you head into these nervy final minutes. There's still plenty of time to go as well. Half an hour. But in a game where already the stakes are high, the tension is through the roof. You have to be able to keep a cool head. Hayden Bryce, it's a great run. But now, is there cover at the back? David Yu, he's on the charge again. He just took that bobble as he was about to pull the trigger.
Did not sit kindly for him. David Yu getting himself across, but again, amazing work from Paolo Retre, just sweeping up all the mess and following Luca Tavia everywhere he's going in the middle of the park. Right now, South Melbourne are dominating that midfield battle. They weren't doing that in the first half.
Javi Lopez with Ramazzani. Aaron Cox. Giannakopoulos comes short. Often playing with just two at the back a lot of the time, South Melbourne, and Ramazzani and Jankovic. Negro all the way back to Ryan Scott, whose touch was just a little bit heavy. The South Melbourne fans were licking their lips in anticipation. Ball over the top for the dangerous Chanchi. Look at the pace of Zach Chanchi into the area. It's a great run. Still Chanchi. Draws Lopez into the challenge. The cutback. Bonada past one. And finally, Javi Lopez is able to defuse the situation.
Well, Chancey right there did everything right. I can't tell you how hard this is at full speed to take your time, to make a decision, not once, twice, and try and make that pass to somebody in a better position. There was calls there for handball, but it was for Bernardo getting himself in the way. But the South Melbourne players got themselves back in the end. But they're the opportunities that the Preston Lions are looking for. That's where they're dangerous at the moment.
Well, Preston almost returning the favour again to South Melbourne. This is well played by Uchida. Juach for Cox. 3 blue shirts arriving in the middle. Well played, Tevere with Jamal Ali. Bernardo and Jankovic continuing to wrestle. Jankovic absolutely furious that that free kick goes Bernardo's way.
Yeah, it's a great battle. It's one you love to watch in the Australia Cup. The old-fashioned centre-half versus the striker with back to goal, making life so difficult to even try and get a touch out there. But that's the intensity. We're locked at 1-1, and just that little bit of pressure starts to creep in at this moment in time in the second half.
Sian Cuba, it's a good ball for the danger man Chanchi. We didn't see much of him in the first half. He's burst into life in the second. Now Negro with Albano. Tevere. Bernardo's touch for Albano, back to Nahuel Bonada. Now Luca Tevere. Looking to turn in the area. Still looking for an option. The little chip in behind, just too much for Jamal Ali. Let's head back down to the ground for Archie Thompson. And how did you see that equaliser for South Melbourne, Archie?
Well, I was right behind where Payne Andrew hit that ball. It was funny, it was a beautiful build-up by South Melbourne in previous attacks into the 18-yard box. And it was a little bit scrappy, that one, but it was a wonderful finish. Hit it low and hard across the goalkeeper. But I tell you what, this match has just got so much in it. I can't believe the intensity that both of these teams are still playing at. It's like they've just come out from the first minute. It's just absolutely incredible. And the football they're playing, and I was just talking to someone before, and watching the NPL level over the last couple of years just keeps getting better and better every time. And no wonder they're knocking out A-League oppositions. And maybe the A-League teams need to start a little bit earlier their pre-seasons if they want to stay in this competition compared to these NPL sides at the moment.
Well, both these two sides have knocked out A-League opposition so far as Peter Andrews dummied Kubalai to the ground. Now, Cox down to the byline. The cross blocked by Jamal Ali. Cox again, though. Bull Juach at the near post, can't direct his header goalwards.
That's a tough one. He's got to get a little teeny touch on it. But again, it's Cox getting the better of Ali. That's not an easy feat. He's had his measure tonight, getting behind the fullback, and Juach right there. He's not had a lot of clear-cut chances inside the 6-yard box, but they still believe in their raging bull that they'll find something through him.
Jankovic stretching, and Giannakopoulos did well to cover his captain there. Tevere with Negro up the line towards Bernardo. Clever challenge from Nahuel Bernardo. Giannakopoulos gets there just ahead of Sian Cuba. So many potential match winners on the pitch at the moment as well. Players with quality, as Archie was just saying.
Apart from that first half substitution, we haven't had any yet, have we? So that tells you a whole tale about the game. You don't often see that in the professional game. And like Archie said, these guys are at the end of the season playing 30 games already, including cups and pre-season. So they're in a really good spell, but you don't see that wear and tear from them. The coaches, on the other hand, are keeping them out there at this stage, 70 minutes into the game. They don't look like slowing up.
Here's Jankovic with Paolo Retre around the corner for Giannakopoulos. Loose pass, picked off by Kubalay. Negro, oh, hidden Bryce. It was, in the end, an excellent touch. The pass has given it away, though. Painter Andrews, inspired, Uchida. You alongside him, Uchida! Well, he struck it well enough, but straight down the middle in the end.
Well, they've had some shots on target tonight, South. And you've got to give them credit because they're really flooding that defensive third. And here they are again, getting forward and not allowing Preston to play out any easy sort of passes and force them into something like that and go long.
Cuba looking for the free kick and not getting it. That was the 6th shot on target for South Melbourne. 23 shots to 8. Well, there you see it. The XG, for those that do, 1.37. The look suggesting, Eric Bartloo, that you are not a fan. 1.37 for South Melbourne, 0.32 for Preston.
You said it before, you just don't know where it's going to go because South Melbourne showed great resilience to come back from that goal, but Preston never looked like scoring in the opening 5 or 10 minutes or so.
Ball over the top for Juach. He's forced a little bit wide as he looks to take on Foligno. Well played, Cox. They've got another corner here.
It is good play because he's forced Jamal Ali into another action. He's forced him to getting another corner for South Melbourne. They've had multiple in this second half, and they're pretty good from the set piece as well.
It's taken short to Pasquale. In it comes, too easy for Ryan Scott to claim that one. Looks to get it moving quickly. Albano being dragged around by Painter Andrews. Jankovic, too short, but the flag's up for offside against Cuba.
That's a real shame because that's textbook Preston Lions tonight. Get the ball here, look for that option over the top. It's borderline, it's close, but the run in behind, that's telling. South Melbourne haven't had a lot of gaps behind. That was the first opportunity to actually get behind, and they still managed to get away with it.
Retre with David Yu again. Wants it on that left foot. Trying to slide it through towards Buljuach. Sian Cuba. Back to Kubalay. Running at Yu. And Preston have a corner of their own.
And you've got to give them credit for that. Kubalay working his socks off tonight, getting from one end to the other. That movement's been really good in the second half. Out in the wide area, getting a midfielder maybe to commit somebody and make an extra man. They're working hard, Preston Lions.
Now that referee's whistle has gone before the ball was kicked.
Well, I think you'll see a lot of this is going to be changed this season, Robbie, because if that's going to stop for that, that should be a penalty. And at the top level of the game, this is the law that will change, and you'll see a lot of this season. Referees just giving a penalty. That's a clear penalty.
And you can see the referee, I think if I'm lip reading correctly, now that referees aren't allowed to cover their mouths when they talk. He said it was before the ball was kicked, before the corner was taken. It's cleared by South.
Well, they've got away with it either way. But the Preston Lions, if they look back on that one, it happens all the time. You know, world football, you can see people tugging at jerseys and making blocks and moving around, but there needs to be a clear-cut call made for that rule. Either you have contact or you don't have contact, because somewhere in between, it's up for interpretation, and usually that interpretation errs on the side of caution.
Well, one thing's for sure, Buljuach was playing with fire there, because once that corner was taken, if he was still holding on, then there's no question about it whatsoever. Giannakopoulos for Painter Andrews. It's a great ball up the line for David Yu. Again, it's a good touch. That pass a little too easy for Ali. Tevere back to Bryce. Foligno with Ali again. Closed down by Aaron Cox. Bonada. Oh, now what's the referee seen here? It's a yellow card for Noel Bonada with 15 minutes left on the clock.
He's been riled up tonight, Noel Bonada. I didn't really see a lot in that, to be fair. And Paulo Retre's gone right in there expecting the contact, and he's made as much of a meal of it as you'd like. That's a bit harsh, because I think he's protecting himself at the same time, expecting the contact.
And Paulo Retre is trying to show the war wound there to the referee. There must have been some studs down the front of the shin, or at least a raised foot from Bonada.
Yeah. But that's the experience we talk about with Paulo. Go and get yourself into a fire and put it out. He's been doing that all night.
Painter Andrews with Pasquale. Jankovic. Ramazzani. As Cox comes short, he looks long. That throw is going South's way by the looks of things. Cheetah clearly feels that it came off a Preston player last, perhaps in that duel. Now, Juach can't find Yu. I think he was looking to turn himself, Buljuach there. Use Yu as a decoy runner.
They've got to keep their heads here, Preston. It's too easy to listen to the crowd and feel hard done by little decisions. The focus has got to be fully on, because South Melbourne, they can flip that switch at any time.
Uchida. Yu, the little flick, looking for the 1-2. Is there a foul by Pasquale? No, says the referee. Here goes Aaron Cox again, the cross, just behind Buljuach. Look at the intent of Painter Andrews. That's a great ball for Yu. And another corner. Can they make one of these set pieces count?
Jack Painter Andrews. Round of applause for the effort to get there, and then the elite level of this pass. How he found David Yu in there, I have no idea. It was superb.
Here is Yu again. That whole area behind that goal, South Melbourne supporters. Near post, well, it might have been going out of play. Foligno not taking any chances. Yu with Pasquale, back for David Yu. They've got behind Tevere. Yu still, the cutback! Surely! Oh, and Buljuach puts it over! Shot after shot blocked. And then what looked like the goal gaping, Buljuach sent it over the crossbar.
Well, the movement just too good from Yu. First, it came in there from Aaron Cox, and it made its way out to the far post, and two players had a little bite at it. That's the pressure that South Melbourne put the Lions under, though. And right there, that was their moment to maybe snatch this game away from them.
Well, he was the hero of Heidelberg's run last year to the cup final, Buljuach. He might yet prove to be a hero for South Melbourne. Uchida with you towards Juach. He's surrounded by red and yellow jerseys. Paulo Retre now. And Uchida had stepped away, wasn't making the run in behind. Retre apologises to his teammates. Just saw entries into the penalty area. Very much nearly double in South Melbourne's favour. Ryan Scott wanting Jan Albano to come short, beaten in the air by Giannakopoulos. Jankovic and Bernarda still all over each other. That battle, you talk about the intensity that's gone from the first minute, Archie Thompson. Well, those two haven't stopped. Here's Sian Cuba. He's on the charge now, sends Jankovic the wrong way. Tevere. Bernarda. Well, we talk about Buljuach at one end. There's nothing more than Noel Bernarda would like to get one over the side he led all the way through to the Australian Championship, in the OFC Pro League as well. Great touch, Stefan Negro, the cross in near post, but too easy for Javi Lopez.
There just has been so many balls into the box tonight, which has been fascinating to watch. It's been great action. Nothing worse than watching a game that doesn't have goalmouth action, but this game, it could be 1-1, it could be 4-1, to be honest. And right now, it's really hanging in that balance. I think the next goal, if they can score it before normal time, it's all over, because I think that'll just completely rip out the heart of the other side. It'll be heartbreaking to concede now.
The point you made earlier, Eric, we were midway through the second half and it still only had one substitution, and that was for the injury in the 42nd minute of Leighton Brooks. Well, now we've got 8 minutes left and we still haven't had a substitution. There are players that will be on the bench absolutely desperate to get out there and be a part of this. Both coaches waiting for the other to blink. And now we are going to see the change come, and it's a double change for Preston. Negro making way, and so is Noel Bernarda. So Matthew Bozanovsky and Daniel Lazarevsky, whose dad was a hero at Preston Lions, and now after 2 years in Austria, in the youth ranks of Austria Vienna, and a goal that marked his return against Newcastle, Daniel Lazarevsky replaces Noel Bernarda up front. Now, Matthew Bozanovsky is another former A-League player. He's very much a central defender. Is he going to move into the fullback role, or is it Foligno? And it looks like there's your answer. Dominic Foligno has moved to left back now. What a performance from him in the middle, though.
And also, Robbie, to change even that at this stage, that's gutsy. I know you've got to make tweaks to go and win the game. Yes, we're at 1-1, but just shuffling the back line when it's been working, when it's been functioning, hanging on by a thread. Yes, you can be proactive, but the substitutions now, it's about, okay, can we win it now, or do we have another half an hour to play?
Tevere, fantastic switch of play for Albano. Giannakopoulos and Painter Andrews across in cover. Gian Albano still going! And then the follow-up, Albano again, a second time. It was Cuba who had it at the far post. It came back towards Albano and he couldn't control a difficult bouncing ball.
Well, it's been a night for the goalkeepers as well. You've got to tip your hat to them. And this occasion it was Javi getting himself there, making the big stop, putting it across the goal, and Retre's there again to make it difficult for the rebounds. I think both sides are guilty of missing chances, though, it's fair to say. We should have had at least a goal each from either side.
We're about to enter the final 5 minutes of regulation time. Pasquale robbed by Cuba. Here goes Chanchi on the charge again. Painter Andrews matching him stride for stride. Did he foul him? Referee says no. The crowd certainly felt that there was a bit of holding on.
Just look at that crowd. There's not one space left in that stadium or stand. All across the pitch has been like that tonight. It's a marvellous turnout.
Standing room only.
Amazing.
You can see them there all on the edge of their seats, on tiptoes. They don't want to miss anything. Cox, Ferrucida back for Aaron Cox. He hits it! And Aaron Cox with another outstanding goal to add to his repertoire this season. It was a pure strike. Uchida involved, laying it back. And Aaron Cox, who scored a stunning opener in the last round against Fremantle City, has struck again.
Just when they needed him to step in, there wasn't enough pressure on the ball from the Preston Lions, but it's beautiful movement, the little give and go on the edge of the box. And I'm not sure if Ryan Scott sees this late, but it doesn't matter. The power to get down in the middle, but it's been coming for South Melbourne. The movement off Uchida, off David Hughes, somebody had to produce something special, a little layoff, a little bit something different. And it's Aaron Cox who pulled the trigger, and he might have pulled this tie for South Melbourne.
Ten days ago, South Melbourne officially announced their intention to actively look for a way back into the A-League, to be that club, the third Melbourne club, following the demise of Western United. Their arguments, they're about to set a record for the most number of matches played in a calendar year, or over the last 12 months, with the championship as well, and the OFC Pro League. Jamal Ali, Preston, have they not had their final word yet either? Yankovic hacks it away. Foligno, no way through, goal kick. And perhaps South Melbourne, who are so close, just minutes away from a third semi-final berth. There you see the attendance, just under 7,000 packed into every corner of the Genis Steel Stadium, the home of the Preston Lions. It's been a fantastic atmosphere between two great old rivals, and there has been plenty of passion and also just the right dose of respect between the two sets of supporters as well this evening. Was that a hand by Jamal Ali? It was. You can hear the groans of frustration now.
Well, it's not a question of quality. South Melbourne, Preston Lions making the jump up, that's for sure. I've been so impressed with watching both of these sides play. And you were maybe thinking that the Preston Lions being at home, finding a way, they're still not done. There's still time for the Preston Lions to get back into this run.
Here's Chanchi. Kubele. Bryce for Foligno. Dominic Foligno to the edge of the area. Chanchi looking to control with his leading foot. It bounces away. 30 seconds left in the 90. There will be stoppage time. One thing you can be sure, Preston will go until the final whistle. Will they leave spaces at the back? Uchida wins the throw off Kubele.
Well, there can't be much stoppage time. We've hardly had any substitutions or stoppages.
It's true, we haven't had an injury in the second half.
Maybe 3, maybe 4.
It's been relentless, the pace of this contest. Preston and South Melbourne both making changes now. Jason Romero, the American, is coming on for Cuba. Foligno is off as well as George Michailidis comes on. Geordie Swibble and Jordan Lampard also coming into the contest. Oh, 6 minutes of added time. No, we didn't see that coming.
Did not see that coming.
But that means there is plenty of time still to come.
Well, it's one thing they've been good at, the Preston Lions, is being direct and going forward and creating chances reasonably quickly. They've just got to find the right ingredients here. Romero on the ball right now, needs to get himself inside that box.
Ali wide for Chanchi. Accelerates towards the edge of the area, still going. Jamal Ali still. David Yu hooks it clear. I mentioned earlier when Lazarevski came on that he'd spent 2 seasons at Austria Vienna. It was in fact George Michailidis who's just come on, who's just arrived back from Austria Vienna. Here's a player with some pedigree as well who's been out injured. Ali, great turn! And Lopez diving at the feet to claim it. Mezzaruni has also come on for Buljuach, along with Geordie Swibble. So there's some counter-attacking in that South Melbourne side now. One over the top perhaps for Swibble to chase. He got 10 goals in the Oceania Pro League. Geordie Swibble, second top scorer, named in the team of the tournament. Rattray back with Lampard. Drives it into the feet of Uchida. Rattray again. Nice quick feet.
Classy performance from Paulo Rattray. Maybe a few questions asked of him when he joined South Melbourne the last couple of weeks. This has been a tireless performance. He's been absolutely outstanding. And you talk about intensity for South Melbourne. If they get through this tie to either meet Sydney FC or Melbourne Victory, that'll be a big challenge for the A-League sides to get up to that level, even still in week 6 or 7 of pre-season.
Max Mikula coming on with 2.5 minutes left, replacing the outstanding David Yu. Is big towards Swibble. Uchida is there as well. He's won it back. Yuki Uchida shoots all the way across the face of goal. Preston looking to take it quickly. Aidan Bryce. They won the Doherty Cup this year, Preston. They've only just returned to the top flight. They were still in the second division in Victoria as Chanchi gets forward and crosses! Oh, I thought it was in. So close from Lazarevsky, who's continuing to carry that name at Preston Lions. What a moment that would have been.
Well, that was it for the Preston Lions. Quick football, getting it into a wide area and just inches away. Blue shirts on the ground. Lazarevsky cannot believe it. He didn't get a big enough piece of it.
Was that the opportunity? Was that the last chance for Preston Lions? One thing's for sure, if it does end this way, you know that Preston have only just got a taste for it, and they will be back. Make no mistake. Siniša Kohadzic was almost let go by South Melbourne midway through this season. They have enjoyed unrivaled success for a Victorian state side over the last couple of years, South Melbourne, with that victory in the inaugural Australian Championship. Romero still. Kubalay for Chanchi. Kubalay still Kubalay. Jankovic clears it. There's plenty of words being said behind each and every challenge. The 6 minutes are up. Bryce heads long. Lazarevsky trying to get there, trying to be involved. Look at that, he's won it back, the striker. How much more time is the referee going to add on here? Hayden Bryce loses out to Swivel before winning it back. There can't be much time left. Jamal Ali. In fact, it's Jason Romero with Chanchi now. Tevere. The cross, back post, Albano. Claim by Javi Lopez. 7 minutes of stoppage time have elapsed. Still we head on into an eighth. Jamal Ali hooking it forward, and it's all over. South Melbourne away from home. Go and celebrate with their travelling supporters. And the four-time NSL champions are returning now to the semi-finals of the Australia Cup for the third time. They carry Victoria's NPL hopes with them, having overcome their fiercest of rivals, Preston Lions. They've overcome one pride of Lions. They'll face another in the semi-finals, those from Brisbane. And Lions FC. But there's time to think about that in the next few days. Now is the moment to celebrate. South Melbourne have prevailed. They had to come from behind. They did it the hard way. But they have marched into the semi-finals of the 2026 Hahn Australia Cup with a 2-1 victory over the Preston Lions.